Hey, what's up, everybody? Good mid-morning, as usual. I don't know why I decided to open this as I was starting, but it seemed like the thing to do at the time. Where's my chat? Where's my chat window? There we are. What's up, guys? Obviously, Bob is here. Gusner. And I don't have my other window. I can't tell what's going on. There it is. So, what is up, everybody? How are you all today? As you can see from the description of the video, we're going to be working on a pretty sweet little crossbow project here today. I started messing it with it yesterday, and got the bulk of the core pieces put together, printed out and put together, and got it to the point where I had a rubber band on here, which isn't how it's going to be at the end, but had a rubber band on here, was messing with it, got to shoot a few nails around the room and stuff, which was kind of fun. And today we're going to work some kinks out that I came across. I had to modify a few parts already. And like it says in the description, this is... I've been talking to Naomi Wu on Twitter on and off recently, and she had put a post up about a friend of hers. I guess it's Jiang, would be how you say that. Jiang made this crossbow, and I think she's trying to demonstrate to him how much power there is in like the community itself, and like the idea of like having a reputation in the community and getting your work spread around that way, as opposed to doing it in other ways. So she is absolutely right, because like I saw all the pictures that she had of this little crossbow, and I was like, I want to make one of these. She's still being a tiny bit guarded with the files. She was kind enough to send me a set of the files, but everything is in Chinese, so it takes a little bit to figure out what everything is. I mean, there's not that many pieces, so it was all relatively self-explanatory, but the tweet that this all originated from is in the description, or should be in the description. YouTube's kind of hit or miss when it decides to update the descriptions when you change them. But links to Naomi are below. Links to the forum where Jiang apparently posts about this is down there, but again, you have to use like Google Translate, because it's all in Chinese or Mandarin or something that I am completely incapable of reading. So if you're interested, the best thing I would say to do is, and I kind of feel bad, I hope she's not going to get swamped with messages, because this thing is pretty badass. The best thing to do is to retweet. That's the one requirement that Naomi has, is you retweet that tweet about this crossbow that she posted, and then direct message her on Twitter, and she might be kind enough to share the files with you, because I'm not going to. I was told not to. So for now, you're just going to have to look at it and maybe hit her up for some of the files. So far, I can pull it up here. So far, everything fits together fairly well. Unfortunately, the print quality of some of the pieces I did... I was trying some new things with settings in my slicer, and some of them did not go as I might have hoped. But I don't know where to start here. I guess let's start by taking a look at this thing, of what I have done. Well, actually, better yet, let's take a look at some of the forum posts, right? So here, let me share my screen. So here, and this is translated currently with Google Translate. Here is the forum, or part of it, where Jiang is sharing like the process of making this, and I guess his prototype and stuff. And you can see it's like a legitimate little crossbow. It looks like the bows themselves are maybe about 12 inches across, and the crossbow itself is about 10 inches long. Cool little piece. He's done a really good job at getting all the pieces to fit well. It functions well. I can tell that already. The little trigger and release mechanism he has, he actually looks like he machined or laser cut his out of aluminum. apparently. I did not do that. I just printed them, and they seem to function okay. I mean, they might break, especially this little piece here, might break if we try to make it too strong right off the bat here, but I don't think it's going to be an issue because I only have aluminum for the actual, I don't know what you call those, like the metal part. I only have some strip aluminum, was all I could really manage to get a hold of here initially, and a couple Lego parts for my pulleys and stuff, so we're going to try to make do. But yeah, that's what we're working with. I can show you here. This is the part that's printing now. This is a part I made for holding the pulleys on the little crossbow. You can see I actually was just doing this before the stream started. I just threw this together in Tinkercad. This is just going to bolt to these the strip aluminum I have here, and hold a little rod to hold our little pulleys for the string. And the only other part that I came across that I had to modify was the trigger. And I did a little bit of a hack job on this. I had to change the angle of it and add a little loop here to actually bolt it to the one piece to work the trigger kind of remotely. But other than that, everything has went together quite well. And it's possible that Jiang had addressed some of these issues, and I just can't tell because I can't read the forum posts really. But overall, it's been a really cool print. We can take a closer look at it here of what I have. Actually, that's right. I'll go ahead and pull all the pieces into Simplify. We will go back to the screen here. We'll get rid of that. And we'll just go ahead and pull all of these pieces into Simplify, and you can take a quick look at sort of what's involved here. So you can see we have the main frame pieces, which are these here, and then some of these need reoriented when you print them. And here's like the buttstock and some of the like trigger covers, some of the cover pieces and stuff. There's the trigger / release mechanism, and some of the parts for that. Even like a pin is included here, but I did have to resize that to get it to fit right. I haven't printed these two pieces yet. Those are the only pieces that I don't yet have printed, but they're not actually important at all for the overall like functioning of the crossbow. But as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory how everything goes together. It's not overly complicated. It's fairly decent design. Could the trigger be made from ABS or brass filled? Probably. That would probably be okay. So, this is what I have so far, and I can tell already this is out of focus. Let's get this in focus here. Focus, you bastard. But anyway, sorry if that's a hair out of focus. But as you can see, I have the bulk of the body together. Let's try autofocus. We never lived to regret that. I have the bulk of the body here together, and you can see it has a nice little chamber for the bolt here. The string actually rides the whole way through the chamber, goes back into the locking mechanism. And then the locking mechanism, it has like a little trigger area here. But as you can see, like that's the trigger that I modified to have a bolt through it to nest into this other piece. And then this rod comes out through. And the trigger mechanism is actually out here. And sits kind of like externally. Like such. But overall, very cool. As you can see, the metal pieces kind of rest in here, and that's what our this strip aluminum is for. We're gonna have to cut that. It's definitely gonna be some Dremel time here today. We're gonna have to cut that, and hopefully that's strong enough to get us functioning. Obviously, this isn't gonna be as strong as like some spring steel or anything, but I just could not find any. Easily. given some time, I'll be able to locate some and probably just go to like a local machine shop and get 2 little pieces made. And the pieces I showed you that I made in Tinkercad, they will actually bolt on here at the end. We'll have to cut this out, notch it out. That piece will sit in there, hold our axle, and then we'll have this little Lego pulley at the end for our string to ride on. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go today, but we're going to try to get some of this stuff tended to. One of the first things I wanted to tend to was the trigger mechanism. I guess we can partially disassemble this. And kind of give everybody an idea of where we are thus far, because I'm definitely open to input. You know, as far as like how we go forward here. Let me fix the zoom on this, because we are going to be doing a moderate amount of like close-up work. All right, that's reasonable. This is just a, I don't know, like a finishing plate here. We don't really need this on, so we'll just take it off so it's out of the way. But there's been a lot of hardware to kind of round up. Most of it's M3 and M4 bolts of various sizes, and I ended up just getting like 40mm ones and have been cutting them to length as I need them, instead of trying to figure out exactly what length I need for everything, just to save a little bit of time. Because we're basically going to get this one functioning to get an idea of how we want everything to be. Because like I said, the print quality of some of this is a little bit rough. I printed it fast at a high layer height. So whenever we get everything sorted out and I feel kind of comfortable with the final design and how we do everything, we'll print a nice one out. Probably with some cooler colors. Probably make it purple, orange, and green or something crazy. But there's still some things, like there's supposed to be a bolt, I'll show you here. There's supposed to be a bolt that goes up through this whole assembly that I can't quite get yet, because I need to either change a file. There's a recess here, which I assume there's supposed to be a bolt that goes in there, and these bolts are supposed to be like longer and go the whole way down through and pinch all this together. But I can't actually fit one of these nuts in there. So I'm going to have to either modify the file itself so I can get the nut to fit in there, or like machine a nut down. And by machine I mean hold with my fingers and cut with a Dremel, of course. But that needs addressed, because this all holds together fairly well, but that could use a little bit more support there. But other than that, everything else is fairly secure. Some of these, like this piece, these are both inlaid the same on each side, and it's fine for the head of the screw, though I think I could make it a little bit deeper to bring that screw down in a little bit farther. And it's kind of the same deal. Like this side needs a larger recess in it to accommodate that nut. It's just not big enough. And I did have the nut on there, but it sticks out a little far. So I just left it off, because most of these bolts actually thread into the plastic enough to hold them, since they don't have a ton of force on them. They're just kind of like gently pressing everything together. And you see there's a hole for another one there below. But we won't really need that till we do the final assembly. But there's not a whole lot holding all these together. So this should only take a second. It's also a couple little things like the, I'll show you the trigger mechanism and stuff. It's kind of cobbled together at the moment. I just used some finishing nails Oh, come out, you bastard. Okay. All right, so that's mostly disassembled. I need a little wrench. Like this bolt, I'd like to have something smaller there. This thing's a little oversized for what it does. Oh, come out of there. Now everything wants to stay together. This thing wouldn't get tight before, and now it's really gripping the plastic. But we can leave most of this assembled, because the big project I want to get done today is getting this aluminum kind of cut and fitted. All right, so you see that assembly comes off. It's a main piece with these two little like skirt pieces on the side that bolt on, and we don't actually have to take these bolts out. They're like number 4 by 1/2 inch, and you can see they're a little too long. So I cut them down. They're probably, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or so long, and they actually just thread into this plastic from each side and hold quite well. So there's that assembly. Here is the trigger assembly. There's the last screw here is the one that holds this this flap here, where the bolt actually goes in here. Like whatever you're shooting, say you're shooting that thing, it actually lays in there and then closes. And it has more like this tactical railing stuff that gets bolted to the top. But like I said, I didn't get those printed out yet. But that should be our last piece there. And I did like a really quick job cutting these bolts to length. I actually just used bolt cutters, so they still have a little bit of a nasty edge on the end. And then we got these two here. And again, these were just like roughly cut to length and thread down through the plastic. These are the ones that I said I need to work out a solution to getting a nut in this little recess, because it just won't quite fit. And I don't know, from the looks of the pictures, Jiang had some different hardware than I had access to. So I just think like dimensionally, like the nuts and stuff he was using were a different size, though I think the bolts are approximately the same size because they fit so well. All right, there we go. Oh, there we don't go. There's more screws. Like I said, this actually goes together fairly well. I can tell already, even though this is PLA, I wouldn't be afraid to put a fair amount of like pull strength on this. All right, you can see those were also just kind of roughly cut to length. They're not even the same size. All right, so there we go. So here's the cool little trigger assembly, and it's in 2 halves. And you can see there's our 2 pieces. And these are actually just finishing nails that I put them through this side, and the finishing nails have a little bit of a thick head on them. And I actually just like heated those up with a lighter and pulled them in from the other side, and they kind of like melted into place there. So I don't think that's how I want to do the final design, but for these purposes, it worked quite well. And as you can see how the trigger mechanism works, that's with it not cocked. And then when you bring the string back in, this will have a little bit of pressure on it, and it'll rock. Sorry about the shadows. That's what I was talking about with the light. This will rock forward, catching the string there, and then it'll catch that knock, and you can't pull it forward until you release that, and then it'll rock forward, releasing the string. So it's a really basic design. I think a lot of crossbows are more or less designed to function this way, but it works quite well. And you see both these are just recessed a little bit to allow room for all that stuff. And like I said, just 2 finishing nails. They're kind of melted into this side and just kind of float on this side, but everything works well. And you can see there's the modified trigger. Let me grab the original. The original one, in his pictures, he has this little piece that bolts to the trigger. You know what I mean? But the file itself, the trigger just comes to this point, so there's really no way to fasten it, and it's too thin to like drill a hole through it to mount it. So that's the piece I just like brought into Tinkercad. You can see I curved the shaft a little bit to get it off of the back of this rest. It was kind of like a little too far back. So I brought it forward about 1/4 of an inch and then put a little loop there to actually bolt this piece onto it. So it all goes together quite nice at this point. So, and then the rest of this is just those like primary frame pieces. There's one large piece here that's like the whole bottom plate, because this is the underside. You see it bolts quite a few places, and I don't have all the bolts in it, but it's already a pretty substantial piece. And then we have the center frame, which again is a substantial piece. Big old piece of PLA. And then just a little like face plate here to make it match the bottom. But I don't really have any problems with any of this stuff. This thing fit a little tight. I don't know if it was, I think with the settings I was using, I was over extruding a little bit. It's part of the reason why this is ugly, and I think it's part of the reason why I had to sand this down so much to get it to fit. But beyond that, it all fits together nice. Sorry I'm not paying attention to chat. Just trying to get everybody caught up. Yeah, it would be nice, Earl. Like guys have those little boxes for cutting trim and stuff. It would be nice to have one of those, like a little jig, so I could cut screws to length with my Dremel or something. But yeah, like I said, sorry I wasn't watching chat. What's up, Gusner, Roger? What's up, Earl, Josh, MacVision? What's up, everybody? Hopefully we're going to be shooting some nails across the room here before too long. So like I said, the main thing I want to get done today is I want to take this strip aluminum. This is 1/16 by 1 inch, and it's 3 feet long. And of course that shit's too sticky to pull off without it leaving a bunch of stuff, so we'll work from the other end. Again, we kind of just have to go by the pictures that Jiang has on the forums. And if I had to guess, it looks like he has his metal pieces probably, I don't know, how long would you guys say that is? Maybe 8 inches or so? Maybe 8 inches? And I think we might have to make ours just a tad longer, because we can't really bend this aluminum a whole lot before it'll actually just kind of stress and bend. And we don't want to do that. We want it to like flex. So we're going to have to kind of cut these to shape. Shape this end a little bit so it like inlays in these notches, and then trim the edge out. Our piece is just finished printing, and they look fine actually. The holes for our rods actually look a little too big, but you can see these are really simple little pieces I made. They're gonna sit on here and bolt on the ends of our bow pieces, and then with a little axle in them, that's our little pulley thing we'll ride in. And I think these will work okay. I was just ballparking dimensions, but they look okay. It looks like we might maybe need a little bit more clearance here on the inside, but overall I think they're going to function okay. I did want to test the other things I bought. I have springs for the trigger. which I think will alleviate the, like when you pull the string back into that locking mechanism, it doesn't really automatically lock. You kind of have to force the trigger forward for it to catch. But I picked up some, this is 1/8 inch by 6 inch aluminum round bar, which is about 3.2 millimeters. And hopefully these fit in these pieces without much modification. Yeah, that's not too bad. They're a little snug in there, but if you guys have ever printed round stuff, the filament tends to sag a little bit on the top end, so we'll just have to file these out, but this should fit okay. And I'm hoping they'll fit in our Lego pulleys a little bit. Whoops, looks like that pulley's broke. But they seem like they do fit okay. We might have to file these out a little bit so they spin. But I think for prototyping purposes, this is all going to work just fine. So, what is project number 1 going to be? Nut on screw, then heat up the nut and press it in. Don't shoot nails on the webcam. Yeah, we're not going to be shooting nails at the webcam. I was also thinking these aluminum rods would probably make pretty sweet ammunition. They fit almost perfectly in, you know, the channel here. And let's get that spaced. They seem to float in there quite nicely, and they're just substantial enough where if you'd sharpen the tips of these would be pretty scary. Even at the stock length, they stick out, like that's them clear back in, basically. And these are fairly inexpensive. I think a pack of these, they end up being about, I don't know, 80 or 90 cents a piece. So if you'd buy a couple packs of these, man, like 10 bolts with this thing would be plenty for playing around. I don't really know how you'd put a fin on these to stabilize them in flight. I guess you could always maybe drill the tips out and put like a steel nail or something in the tip, make them even scarier, and put a little bit of weight at the front so they fly a little better. But overall, yeah, I think these would spring steel on that size should be easy to get. I agree, Earl. That's why I said if you give me a little bit of time, I'll be able to track some down. I just, in less than 24 hours, I wasn't able to source any that was going to be, you know, kind of suitable for use today. So we'll just have to kind of make do. So the first thing, we kind of need to just pick an arbitrary length with our, what the hell are they? Are they the bows? I don't know what to call the metal pieces. What is the terminology here? I'm not a crossbow aficionado. Don't shoot your eye out. I hope I don't. That would not be good. I have some drop forged metal shears here. I don't know if this will be enough to cut this aluminum. It is not. So we'll just use a cutoff wheel. So anybody have any opinion on how long we should make these? I'm thinking, I don't know, about that long maybe? What's that, maybe 6 inches? Oh hell, that's only about 4.5 inches. How about like 5 inches? Because we're going to lose about a 1/4 of an inch to recess that inside. Would that look stupid? Is that going to look too big? I guess that looks about right. I don't know. It's hard to judge it. 6 inches. 6 inches I think is too big now that I look at it. That's going to be about that big. Let's go with 5. Let's mark these both at 5 inches. We'll get the Dremel out. extension cord. Need some power. All right, we got power. We got Dremel. I don't think I have a ton of these cutoff discs, so I hope I don't break a bunch of them. Hopefully I don't break any of them. Because I don't want to lose an eye or scratch my glasses. So hopefully we do neither of those things. That's not what she said. They're called limbs. That's true. I guess we can start at 6 inches and... I guess we can start at 6 inches, and if they end up being kind of stupidly long, we can go ahead and fasten our pulley on the end and then trim the other end if we end up... Well, I guess we're going to be drilling mounting holes, so... We'll see. What's the worst that could happen? Alright, let's get our cutoff wheel in here. Don't tell me that's the wrong damn chuck size. I don't know why they have two different sizes. These are all like the same size shit, essentially. Get in there. All right, so I guess I'll score these. And we'll go with 6 inches. We'll see what that looks like, because I guess we do have another, I guess about 4 inches of buttstock here, so I guess proportionally that will not be super weird. Because if we do 6 inches, we're going to be, I don't know, that's going to be a little big. Let's go with 5. Let's go with 5 inches. I've never met somebody that wasn't satisfied with 5 inches. So I'm going to score this one, we'll cut it, and then use this piece to mark the next one. I would imagine this will only take a second to cut. Hopefully. Wish the Dremel would get a little closer. It's a bad angle. Kind of smells like hot urine. You don't see sparks. What is aluminum? All right. Number 1 finished. Then, like I said, we'll just use this to kind of roughly mark this other one. Because they don't have to be exact. We can pretty up the edges here in a minute. Alright, go ahead and knock this one out. Guess we can up the RPM a bit. A little quicker. That does smell like hot, hot piss. What's up, geek? We'll be done making noise in a second. That really stinks for some reason. I've never cut aluminum with a Dremel. I guess it's a cutoff wheel. It smells like when somebody pisses on like a tin roof and it's hot out. It's not a good smell. Good job, I haven't started drinking yet. Save that dust for thermite. I've never made that. You've been printing like a madman for the last couple weeks. Yeah, that's... Anybody that takes this hobby seriously, that should definitely be the case for you. Alright, so here's our arms. I guess they look okay. That looks reasonable, right? Something about like that. Because like I said, I keep kind of like getting the scale off in my mind because we're going to have another 4 inches or so for the trigger assembly, so that looks about right. I guess it's kind of weird that they're straight. I wish we could put a little bit of curve in them, but that's where the spring steel will be significantly better. But I'm hoping these will function. So the next thing, I guess we're going to clean the edges up on these a little bit. And I guess these little sanding drums should be okay for that. Just to deburr them a bit. Ow, hot aluminum in the eye. Wish the rotation was the other direction. So I wasn't throwing all that shit in my face. Alright, so they're close. I mean, they're about, I don't know, 32nd of an inch off from each other. But I guess the next thing will be to mount these pieces on the ends. And I guess we'll just have to kind of... we're going to drill... I guess 3 holes isn't really necessary. I probably could get away with just these 2. And then we'll cut off some little bolts and mount through there. That's probably more than enough to hold them in place. Yeah, I guess I was just going to say, I guess we could have designed this piece potentially with just bolt holes back here and mounted it at the end and save us some work. But I don't know. I guess that is strong enough. I was going to say, I don't know if these little pieces would break if they're not supported on the back. But I don't know. I wonder if we can get away with just mounting 1 screw there, because this is kind of like a prototype. PLA does have pretty good tensile strength. That might actually be strong enough. What do you guys think? Should we risk it? 1 screw or 2? Think we should try it with 1, or do you want to set this back where we were kind of planning to have it and go ahead and cut this out with the Dremel? This obviously is going to be a lot more sturdy. It's going to be quite a bit stronger, but I don't know at the end of the day how much like draw strength we're really going to try to get out of this. The rulers at Harbor Freight are stainless. Well, I have this. I guess this isn't. I guess this is kind of. We probably could have just used this ruler. Because it's thin enough that this does have a nice spring to it. But you're right. I do remember seeing those. I do remember seeing those rulers at Harbor Freight. And like anything at Harbor Freight, I'm sure they're dirt cheap. So, okay, let's kind of scratch some lines in this to give us an idea of where we want it exactly. So we're just going to kind of hold it. Sort of line it up with the end. That end's a little bit ugly still. Actually. That's right, I forgot one of these we cut on both ends. Oh, I got aluminum in the eye. I might need a moment here. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough, eh? I don't know if anybody has tough eyeballs, though. I don't think it works that way. Okay. So that's cleaned up. Unfortunately, that was the one that was already a little short, so now we're about a 1/16 of an inch shorter than the other one, but that's fine. That's fine. No, you guys aren't going to tell anybody, are you? All right, so like we were doing here, we're going to mark these. Again, our pulley's going to be towards the end. Kind of get it squared up. Looks reasonable. And I guess the biggest part is getting this center relieved out of here. And I wish we had a little bit more than a Dremel to use, but it's all I happen to have on hand, so just have to sort of make do. So it's kind of etched that out there, so it's marked well enough to see it. How many cutoff wheels do I have? Because they definitely, you can see we chewed through that one pretty good. So I have 2 here. 3. Oh, there's more than I thought. Okay. So we've got 5. Hopefully that's enough. We've got 5 cutoff wheels, and then I'm guessing we're going to be drilling holes in these corners. I'm guessing that's how we'll end up doing that. But let's just get started here. Let's quit thinking. Thinking is for the weak. Don't want to get this aluminum super hot, so let it cool a little bit. I guess this small wheel will actually be good for cutting this back piece. As soon as we break through the other side, I'll go on the other side and there we go. Came through a tiny little bit. Whew, it's getting hot. All right. It's most of the way through in that. And these are obviously, they'll be a little bit ugly. But I better let that cool down a little bit. This piece is getting pretty hot. This is going to be a little bit ugly, obviously. But as soon as we get this design worked out, I'll get some actual spring steel for these, because we'll be able to get a lot more life out of them. Because even if these work, I think these are going to fatigue in relatively short order. There's some really nice things to turn your Dremel into a table saw. Oh, that'd be cool. Get a laser cutter mod on the MK2. I wish. Man, it would make projects like this super, super easy. I wish. Our cutting wheels kind of turning into nothing. I guess let's go ahead and mark this next one, because with this little wheel, it makes it a little bit easier to cut this back piece that's a bit shorter. Damn it. So we'll go ahead and score this out. No, I do. One of the things I think I really do want to do for my Dremel is either, I guess it's kind of dirty to say buy, but I'd like to make a thing to use it as a drill press. I think that's one of the things that is really tough to do. Because like the table saw, you know, you can kind of have a steady hand and hold it, but as far as using it like a drill press to get like nice actual straight holes and things is a little bit tough. All right, so let's cut this back piece through. Ooh, that gets hot. Oh, we got through. I was going to say, this wheel's probably going to break soon. Excellent. It's like the perfect size. This one's ready to go in the back. All right. Just got to change these cutting wheels out here. And get a flat screwdriver. Are you kidding me? I need my little flat screwdriver. Oh, it's right here. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think there's much life left in this cutting wheel. But no, I need to do a review on this Dremel, because I don't know if any of you guys are in the market for a Dremel. This is by Wen, W-E-N, on Amazon. This is $19. This is a $19 tool. And like, I've owned quite a few Dremels over the years, and this is not any less of a machine than any of the Dremels I've ever had. I've already used this for quite a few things in the, you know, approximately a year that I've had it. So even if it died right now, like if this thing fell apart right now, I've gotten way more than $19 worth of usage out of it in the year I've owned it. And I mean, it doesn't look or act any different than it did the day I started using it. So I'm sure it's got plenty of life left in it. All right, let's get these cut. Let's get this done. New wheel makes a big difference. Woo! Obviously, safety first, guys. All right. We'll let that cool off and then clean it up. And we'll work on this one here quick. We are in the home stretch. It's getting a little toasty. I used to have a little like jeweler's saw that probably would have been a lot better for doing this than actually grinding these out, but I lent it to someone and never got it back. Whew. You got to keep a tight grip on this, and it's kind of hard with as hot as this stuff's getting. Guess I should put a glove on for a number of reasons. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. All right, let me see if I can work that out of there. Damn, that's hot. Ouch. All right, so there we go. They're certainly not perfect by any means, but there's our two things cut out. And I think that's... Looks like they're both going to clear just fine. So we'll just have to... I'll get a block of wood here. We'll mark these holes, drill them in. And we'll have to drill... we can probably get away with just the one mounting bolt. Because one of these kind of threads into the plastic. This inner one just threads into the plastic. And then the outer one... Well, actually, I think we can get a nut on that down inside of there. So maybe we will just go ahead and use both of them. But let me clean these up just a little bit. They don't look too bad, really. I was actually expecting these to look a lot worse than they do, but those actually aren't too bad. And they're not exactly the same, but they're fairly consistent. I mean, they're reasonable enough to each other, considering an idiot like me did it. You can get 100 of the fiber reading glass. Yeah, I need to get some. I'm still just using like the kit of bullshit that came with this, which has gotten me by for the few projects that I've done. But yeah, the time's going to come before long where I've used all that stuff up. All right, so we're just going to kind of put these where they belong. Looks about right. Kind of position these on the end, and you can see exactly what we're going for. And that actually makes a nice little finished product. The inside's going to be a little rough where we had to overcut those corners because we're using a cutting disc. I guess I could put the prettier side against the PLA. Ooh, there we go. Make it look like we did a better job than we actually did. I now need to mark these holes. I don't know if this will be enough. That's reasonable enough. We can see where they're supposed to be. Then we'll do this other one. We'll pick the prettier side. I guess that's the prettier side. They're about the same. And again, just kind of position it on here. Roundabouts where it needs to be. Because we can always sand these edges flush. Position of these isn't super critical. Just kind of scratch. I wish I had an AWL with a little sharper point. I could probably get this a little more precise. But that should be sufficient. So I'm going to grab a drill, a little block of wood. This is where, just like we were talking a minute ago, this is where having a little drill press setup would be superior to what I'm about to do. Because we're just going to have to use a drill. I didn't really have a small block of wood, so this will have to do. We're just going to use a drill. If I can find it. And just drill these by hand. The drill bit, it looks, I think we need an 1/8 inch for these. And I think I do. I think an 1/8 inch is a hair big, but I don't mind oversizing these a tiny bit. So we have a little bit of room to position them. Number 1. Dose. So there's our first piece. Not too bad. Looks fine. I assume they're going to line up reasonably well. And the nice thing, like I said, we oversized them just a tiny little bit. So if they don't line up perfect, we have enough wiggle room to get them to where they need to be. Probably have like an extra 30-second or so. And you can see, nothing too fancy. Just using a drill, centering it in our little circle of scratches we made. And you can see, aluminum's really easy to work with. It's one of the nice things about prototyping like this. Because if I do end up going to like a machine shop and spending a couple bucks and getting them to actually make our little damn it, what are they called? I forget. I could actually just take these in and say, hey, look, like just kind of normalize the measurements here, make them consistent, and cut me out 2 pieces like this. Or actually, it would probably work out better to get thinner spring steel and get them to make 2 pairs, so we can have 2 arms on each side. That would probably fatigue a little better and be a little springier for the scale that this thing is, so they're not too stiff. Okay, now what do we need to do? I guess what we really need to do is trim some bolts, but I think we're going to not do that right now. I think we can just leave these hang out a bit for the time being. because it's not going to hurt anything. And the main goal today is just to get everything kind of functioning. All right, so our holes are a little bit off, unfortunately. But that's okay. Just a little bit off. So we'll just put 2 in there. But yeah, not bad. It's going to function. You can see it's a little bit shifted, but not the end of the world. And we still have enough clearance for our little wheel in there. So I think everything will work out all right. Normally, Marky, little infatuated. It is my nickname, to be fair. To be fair. What is the end result supposed to look like? Well, we have this body. We have this body. And like obviously we're working on our arms here. It's going to have a little pulley at the end. Man, this stuff is a little stiff. I don't know if this is going to work out like we're hoping. Hopefully it does. It might have a little too much draw strength. Be a little disappointing. Yeah, there's a link. Unfortunately, all of it's in Chinese, but there is a link in the description down there to the final product. Looks like this one lines up a little bit better. Sort of. Not really. Damn it. Damn it. Let's elongate these holes a little, or enlarge these holes a tiny little bit. What's the best way to go about doing that? What is the best way of doing that? I know how I'd do it if they were big. Use one of these little grinding stones. I've never used one of these. Well, that's doing a whole bunch of nothing. Except making some horrible noises. Sounds like someone's torturing a dragon made out of metal. Son of a bitch. Maybe that was enough. Just reaming those out. Not really. I'm just worried that we're not going to have enough clearance back here. for a little pulley. It looks like it might be okay. If not, we'll just have to pull it apart again and grind it out a little bit. Hey, what's up, Scott? Use a tungsten bit and enlarge it. Unfortunately, I don't have one. If worse comes to worse, we can always drill the holes out a little bit bigger. I just want to I wanted to maybe not do that because I don't want to make this this aluminum too weak. But we do have a little bit of a wonky alignment here. I guess I should have maybe held the plastic on this aluminum and drilled them out that way instead of marking them. Since we only had a handful of holes to drill. It's not like it would have taken much time to do it that way. But at any rate, I think these are going to be functional. I think they'll be good enough to figure out whether this is how we want to go about it or not. All right, so the next thing will be to get our little wheels in there, and we're going to be using this this aluminum rod. And like we already kind of checked, we're going to have to ream these out. We'll just use a drill bit of the appropriate size. And of course, it's somewhere in between these two. Oh, you bastard. I grabbed the wrong one. I broke the piece. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong bit. Son of a bitch. I broke that piece. I have to print another one real quick. Luckily, it's all sitting there ready to go, but damn it. That should be enough to get it in there. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfecto. All right, we'll just have to mark this. I think there's a rate about 25 millimeters is what these pieces end up being. We'll just mark that. We'll chop this with a cutoff wheel, which will only take a second. And then knock another one out. Why you gotta get so hot? Ow. I don't know why I touched my tongue to that. That was a bad idea. I have no idea why I just did that. That was not smart. I don't know if you guys have figured that out yet. Don't do anything I do. Now my tongue's burnt. I swear I am not trying to be like a Tim Allen-esque character here when I'm doing stuff on stream, but it just seems to work out that way sometimes. All right, so you see our pin fits in there quite nicely, actually. There's like just enough tension on there that that's never going to slide out. Fantastic. But there's not too much tension that we can't get it out. All right, so I've got, like I said, we got our little Lego wheels here, which I think are just about the right size. And I'll have to run over and grab another one. Possibly two if I break this. Let me use a round file, actually. To just ease this fit a little bit more. Because I think the drill's just going to bite into that and twist it and break it. If it didn't already. This one is cracked a little bit. I don't think I did that. I think some of these, just from playing with them when I was younger, I think some of those have some stress cracks and stuff in them. So we do have a little bit of a clearance issue. I guess not. I thought that rubbed. It's just kind of a snug fit. But I think this is going to function because this doesn't need to spin a lot. It just needs to be able to rotate a little bit so the string doesn't bind at all there. But I think that's going to work just fine. And obviously, like if you look at Jiang's design, he definitely did it right. It looks like he's got a little bearing in there, which I could do. We could easily take one of those bearings. Where's my mouse at? We have all those bearings from those spinners. I could easily take one of those 608 bearings, get a different size axle in here, or just print a little insert in them so we can go ahead and use our 3mm aluminum rod here as our axle. And then just basically print like a PLA outer shell for that would have like a pulley shape and get a bearing on there. Because the easier this moves, I would imagine the better power transfer you're going to get. Like there's going to be less drag in the string system. But so that one's done. Our piece is going to print here. Since, like an idiot, I broke the other one. But we can go ahead and cut our second aluminum rod here. And have that ready. And then go ahead and proceed with everything else. And then just swap this plastic piece out when the time comes. So we'll chop this rod. We will not touch this one to my tongue. Don't touch this one to your tongue. It's quite hot. Hey, what's up, Aspie? Safety. Someone said it long ago, safety last. Safety last is the MO around here. Look, if it doesn't kill you, it's probably just going to leave a scar. Right? I don't think it's going to make you stronger. It's just going to leave you a little physical reminder of that day you did something kind of stupid. You should use the guide bearing from a Bowden setup. I could. I've never actually seen one in person. I know I need to order. I've been walking around. Man, I recommend you guys do that. Holy shit. I've been walking around with my spinner. Like, I just take it with me. I don't know if some of you in chat might not know what a spinner is. I just take my spinner with me. It's like skateboard bearings with a little printed frame and little buttons to hold on to. Print yourself one of these. Make it kind of nice. Like this Bronzeville one is nice. It's really great to handle. And take it around with you. I guarantee you will sell these. I already have about 10 people just for me, like carrying this around, like my family and friends and stuff. I already have like 10 people that want to buy these. And if you go look on the one stream, I linked to the one that we were using. You can sell these. The guy that made this file is absolutely okay with you selling them. He does not care. So, like, I'm working on designing my own. But, like, if you want to just use that design that's on Thingiverse and print yourself some out, get some 60... I think there's 608 bearings. You can easily make yourself a couple bucks here and there selling them to people. It is definitely worth the little bit of time it takes to make them. So we're going to file these back a little bit. to increase the room we have here for this pulley, I'm going to go ahead and push this one out and do the same here. Just so like our string doesn't rub whenever we get the entire assembly together. But I definitely need to go. I'll probably pick some rulers up. That might actually be the easier way to go. And if we do it that way, we could actually redesign. Like, say we do use the rulers, right? And we were kind of worried about having these plastic pieces clear out on the end so they don't break, especially if we get this working well, we should be able to put, the way this thing's built, this should have a fairly reasonable draw strength on it. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to really put some pressure on this thing. And if we do that, we could redesign these pieces. So instead of being on one side, we could potentially, you know, basically do them double-sided and have the ruler only come into, you know, maybe where our bolts are on these, and then have these tips be quite a bit thicker, and not print them out of PLA, print them out of like polycarbonate or something that's going to be a lot stronger, or maybe even ABS. I think polycarbonate's stronger than ABS. I could be wrong there, but I do have some of that polycarbonate left, because I'd actually considered printing the these arms out of polycarbonate. Are we going to cut those bolts down as well? Yeah, we will. We'll do that towards the end, probably, once we get some of these other issues worked out. I got to run over here and grab a couple of these wheels. So I know I should run an ad here, but I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. I hate running ads. So I'll be right back. I'll be right back, guys. I have to go get some Legos. Not something I thought I'd say on stream. Yeah, wow, we definitely didn't break that. Most of these over there are broken. Luckily, I have a ton of these little wheels, because they're like one of the standard like tire centers. But most of those are broken. Man, I must have been rough on my shit as a kid. I don't think that would surprise anyone watching the stream here. All right, we're just going to relieve those a little bit. Yeah, because that is kind of a tight fit. I bet, too, if we look, there's probably a file of these on Thingiverse, since they are Legos. And, like, a lot of the Legos, there's printable versions of them. Hey, what's up, Drone Shots? All right, does that fit a little bit better? Yeah, see, now we're talking. That's actually a little too loose. But that's okay. That's okay. Anybody that's just joining us, we're filing some Legos, if you're curious. That's what's happening right now. Yeah, there we go. That way these spin kind of freely. Not too shabby. But we're using these little Lego wheels as pulleys for this project. Is this the broken one? Yeah, that one's cracked. And this one's cracked. Get out of here. In the trash can. Oh, this one's cracked too. What the hell? I didn't notice it was cracked. All right, back to the Legos. Let me grab another Lego. We will definitely need to print our own out of like polycarbonate or something, because these will probably break. Jesus. How are they all broken? Apparently I was a little asshole to my Legos. Nil, I have some empty spools for you. Yeah, hell yeah, man. How many do you have, Justin? Because I'm probably going to destroy a lot of them. So I would probably... I'd probably like to have like 24 or more. And that goes for anybody. If anybody has any empty filament spools, send me a message on Facebook or whatever. I need a bunch for a project that I want to work on here in the near future. 6 to 8. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, man. If you want to send them to me, like, you can either just send them to me, or I can compensate you for postage if anybody has any that they want to spare. Just like I said, contact me on anywhere, really. Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Because like I said, I'd ideally like to have maybe 24 or so. I've always thrown mine away. I wish I would have kept them. I only have like 3 or 4 on hand right now. Oh yeah, Josh. Yeah, I don't know. Like any of you guys in the UK, you don't need to ship them to me. There's probably some guys here in the States. Follow you back on Twitter. I will do that. I can go ahead and do that now. What's your Twitter handle? Is it just in time? Just in time. Just in time parenting? You're not just in time parenting, are you? Just in time 3D. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that so I don't forget. Just in time 3D. Would this be your yellow gun we're looking at when your 1911 decides it wants a little goatee? Do I have the correct person? Okay. All right. Yeah, I did that. So go ahead and yeah, if you don't mind, I'll compensate you for shipping and stuff. That's no big deal. I just need some of those because this project is going to be motorized, and I'm going to be shredding quite a few spools, I would imagine. So we're probably gonna need some spares. I'm gonna need a pit crew and some spares. All right. So what are we doing here? We've got our little pieces. We've got our little pieces. I think we have enough clearance in there. So you can see, anybody that doesn't know what we're doing, we're working on the arms for this crossbow. So we've got like our little crossbow arm that's a little stiffer than I'd hope it would be. We printed out a little PLA piece that we designed. We've got 3mm aluminum rod that we're using as the axle. And then some little Lego wheels that are kind of like stand-ins for our pulleys or whatever. They, like, obviously our final design won't be like this. And it actually looks like we do need to kind of address the fit here, because this is going to bind if we don't have smooth internals here. So we can leave the little pulley wheel on there, but we need to enlarge these holes a bit so we can position this properly. And it looks like this one needs to go forward and left a little bit. So probably the easiest way is just using this little round file. And enlarging our holes a bit. And hopefully this gets us where we need to be. And if we get close, we can take our flat file then and just smooth the transition between that PLA and stuff. But being that these wheels are the way they are, if that's not somewhat smooth, it's gonna end up catching. And we don't want that. That is quite a bit closer. Alright, that just needs a hair more, and I think we're going to be fine. And then I think we can finally kind of tighten these bolts up, and we'll cut the backs of them off. Because this piece will be pretty much done now. So this one, and this is the one that isn't broke, by the way. And we will have to push our little axle back out, get our pulley out of the way. And you can see it actually lines up correctly now. More or less. So we're not really going to have anything to catch on in there, which will be ideal. And you can see we enlarged our holes a tiny little bit, but nothing crazy. Just a little off to begin with. Just have to note next time when we do like the final version of this to take a little more time marking everything off. MK2 Kiss... MK2... Oh my god, words. Gusner, I haven't. I finally just, I've been buying some Nintendo stuff on eBay, kind of out of the blue. Because I was watching some auctions, and they were just, like, a little too good to pass up. So I ended up winning a couple auctions, which pretty much made me functionally poor for the last week and a half or so. So, no, I'm going to... Do I have a vise? No, I don't, actually. I started printing one. I have some of the pieces over on my bench, but I haven't finished it. Alright, excellent. So let's actually tighten these up reasonably well without breaking this PLA. We'll use the flat screwdriver. Alright, probably don't want to go much tighter than that. And then we'll chop these off. Which I guess, I don't know, I guess we should do it in place or not? I don't know. I don't want to melt that PLA. But we'll give it a try. No, I could definitely use a vise, though, if you guys can't tell. But we just recently got a Harbor Freight in our area, so I do finally have access to plenty of that stuff without having to worry about shipping and stuff. So this one's basically finished. You can see we're lined up fairly well. Once we cut these off, we're gonna fix some of these corners and stuff here. Just file them, but we'll chop these bolts off quick. And like I said, we'll try not to get this too hot so we don't melt our PLA. Oh, our damn bolt's coming off. Alright, that should be good enough. Definitely put a little bit of heat into that PLA. I don't think it liked it. I think that's why the bolt's loosened a bit. But overall, not bad. This doesn't look bad. Not too shabby. And then, like I said, we're just going to take the file and ease some of these corners in here so our wheels don't catch on it. But not too bad. I don't think I'm going to be hunting squirrels or anything with this little crossbow, but that's not too bad for a Yahoo like myself. So there's one effectively done, except we need to put our pair of holes in here, but we can do that in a minute. Our pieces are finished over here. Our replacement piece that we freaking broke. So we just got one of these. Same piece we had before, and this is just something we laid out really quick in Tinkercad. A little holder for our wheel here at the end of our arm. And we just have to swap it out. So we broke it. I guess we gotta relieve this one as well. Nothing too crazy. Position it on here. I guess we might as well go ahead and get this one positioned correctly too. It looks like this hole needs to go this way a tiny little bit. Go ahead and get it stretched out a bit. Where's the broken one? Go ahead and throw that away. Get out of here. Alright, that looks good. Looks like we line up okay. Won't have to mess with this one too much. Looks pretty good. Not really. We need to go this way a tiny little bit. The joys of working with aluminum. If this was steel, we would not be doing this. Oh, I just noticed we had people chatting in Twitch. Sorry, I didn't notice you guys. Hey, Twitch chat. Diddy. Yeah, we dual stream. Everything goes out to YouTube and Twitch. Just makes things, I don't know. Because I had some people saying that they preferred to do their stream viewing on Twitch. So it doesn't really take any extra work on my part to have it stream out to both. So we've slowly been developing a tiny little Twitch community over here, but like an asshole, I end up ignoring chat because I'm so not used to having people over there. So I kind of forget about it until like I look up and happen to notice somebody talking in Twitch chat. So sorry guys. That's why we can't have nice things. All right, this one lines up pretty good too. We're going to go ahead and chop these bolts off. Hopefully they won't back out. Use a little higher RPM. Try to be quicker about it. Woo! It's like a so hot. Ow! Son of a biscuit, that's hot. That is too hot for PLA, I knew that. I guess it does help bind everything together. It's like recessing the heads of these screws down into the PLA a little bit. Make it nice and tough. All right. Very good. And again, take our flat file and the finishing touches on this piece. It's going to be funny if we do all this and this thing doesn't work because these are too stiff. I have a feeling. So there we go. There's our 2 arms. Not too bad. I guess we can go ahead and finish the assembly, as a matter of fact. So we're going to have our pulleys in here. That's a little tight. That's a little tight too, son of a bitch. There we go. Now, I was going to say, damn, that's almost too loose now. Too much filing. But that should be alright. Alright, so there's one side. Moves alright. Here's our other one. Which one of these is broke? Is this one broke? Yeah, it is. How did this one... Didn't I throw these other ones away? Or is that number 3 that I've thrown away? Yeah, there we go. So they roll nice and easy. We're not going to get any binding there. Or we shouldn't, anyway. And our next one there. Very cool. So there's our 2 arms. Last step is actually drilling the hole to mount them in. And we could... There's a little recess in there. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little recess in the front here to ease these in, but I don't really think it's necessary because our piece is so much thinner than the slot is that it's not really going to, you know, capture it anyway. So I think we're just going to, like I said, I think we can get away with using the single hole here that goes the whole way through because we can bolt it fairly securely. So I think I'm just going to hold this in place. Kind of get a half-ass mark here with this drill bit. And we're going to try to get away with just using that single mount. All right, we got our mark. This drill bit's too big. I believe we want this one. Is that what we decided? That's a little small. That's a little big. Let's go with the one in between, because we don't really need this to be oversized. Yeah, this looks like what we want here. I think it was a 7/64. So we'll get our drilling wood here. We have the dullest bit in the universe. We're basically going to melt a hole through this aluminum. I don't know what I had drilled with that thing, but apparently something I shouldn't have been. And that should be... what I'm guessing we want to have... How do we want to have this facing? I'm guessing we want to have this facing this direction. So the force is pulling this back onto the aluminum. Because I guess this way, the strength, it's going to end up cracking this PLA, I would imagine. Which kind of sounds like we're doing some cracking anyway. Hopefully these little wheels don't break. Hopefully they hang up long enough, or hold up long enough to do a little bit of experimentation. And our hole doesn't line up at all. Son of a bitch. Oh my god. My marking techniques are not ideal, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if the bit walked a little bit while we were waiting for it to actually cut. That might be enough. Elongate that a little bit. I think that'll go in there now. All right, so we're going to take one of our long bolts here. I think the long ones basically just make it the whole way through. That is not quite where it needs to be yet. All right. One of these days we'll do things right. Titanium bits. Well, the thing, you don't really need any special bits for aluminum. You just need one that I haven't drilled concrete or anything with, which I might have used that one for in the past. It's a really old set of bits. I think that's the problem, not so much what it's made out of. I think this is close enough that we can get this worked in here. Excellent. We're making progress, guys. This looks like 1/3 of a crossbow. All right, so you see this one goes the whole way through. So we're just going to secure that with a nut. Get a hold on it there. And we can actually draw that reasonably tight. Because there's no way we're going to break that PLA. I think that's cool. Like, we definitely are getting there, but I have a feeling these arms are just too stiff. But we're getting there. It's looking like a crossbow. So there's one side done. We're going to try to mark this one a little bit better. I wish I had something that I could use to mark that a little more accurately. But I don't really have anything. We're just going to do the same thing and hope for better results. All right, so we got her marked. We're going to go like that. All right, we have a little bit clearer of a mark here. What's the next size drill bit I have? Just go ahead and use a bigger bit. This will help with the alignment problem, and this bit's sharper. Yeah, look at that, like instantly. Okay. So side number 2, get our bolt and our nut. And it still doesn't line up. Oh my god. It's like, it looks exactly the same as the other one. Oh, Jesus. It's just not meant to be. This is why I don't build, like, high-quality, finely crafted furniture or anything like that. This is why I'm cobbling things together in my basement. Alright, so I went the wrong direction. Shut up. It was off the opposite direction. All right. I can't... I would imagine it's possible that the guy that designed these files is going to end up watching at least part of this stream. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. He's just going to be, like, face-palming the whole time. I was about to do an Asian accent and say what he might think, but that's probably not appropriate. But he's going to be face-palming his way through this video. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Ownage Pranks. It's a pretty big channel on YouTube. I was about to do my Book Lao impersonation, but that's probably not appropriate. All right, so... Though Book Lao is Chinese, though he is fictional. I think he's Chinese. Hold this with my chin. Get this bad boy tight. All right. That's a freaking crossbow, guys. Look at that. I don't know. I mean, there might be... That's not the worst, I gotta say. I think we have some you know, points that are likely to fail here. Like, I think our wheels could potentially break if we put too much tension on it. But I think in general, I don't know, the aluminum arms might not actually be too bad. Okay. So that was actually that was the bulk of what we wanted to do today. So the rest of it's just going to be like some basic reassembly here, because we don't have anything. I guess we can go over some of this. This is the trigger mechanism that Jiang came up with, and you see, like, this is with the bolt open, and your piece comes in, slides in here. You'll have, you'd have a little bit of force this way. Your string's going to come in, pull this back. It's going to catch, and this is, like, only loosely held together. It'll catch here. It will catch here. You bastard. And you can see then, whenever we pull the trigger, it'll release that, and your string will be released. So it's a really simple design. Like I said, I think his original, he machined this out of aluminum, so these would hold up a little better. But I think for basic functionality, these are going to work okay. And for these axles, I took finishing nails and heated the end with a lighter and then pulled them through, so it kind of embedded them in there. And then they just kind of like float on the other side. You can see there's a relief in these pieces to allow all these mechanisms to work. So, all holds together fairly well. These two halves, this assembly, kind of just slides in here. And I don't remember, do we use full-length screws here? Yeah, we do use full half-inch screws here. This mounts thusly. And I did file the heads of these screws down a little bit so they don't rub the string too bad. Because the string, the cool thing about this is the entire string is kind of captured inside. So there's this little flap on the top where like your bolt or whatever you're firing goes in here. And it's actually closed in there. And then the string, the string slides through this whole slot here. So it's actually kind of captured inside the crossbow the whole way. So that's actually pretty cool that it works like that. So we've got one of our screws here. I think this is the other, where's the other one that I filed? I had another one of those 1/2 inch that were filed. There it is. All right, so we have a second one here. Holds this all together nicely. And then, like, this is just the test. I'm going to reprint all these pieces when I do the final version of this, you know, to actually share with everybody. So I'll get some hardware that's slightly more appropriate. And I think now that we have those in there, I'm actually going to file those down a bit more to get that transition as low profile as possible. That doesn't seem too bad. They only stick up a tiny little bit, and they're kind of smooth on top now, so not too bad. And we can still tighten these with a flat screwdriver if we need to. All right, excellent. So the next pieces, we have 2 1/2 inch bolts that go in through the bottom here, and also screw into that assembly. Go ahead, that's a cut one. Or did I use cut ones there? I don't know. See, some of this hardware is kind of custom because I actually just bought a bunch of long screws and then chopped them off to length. But I think these full 1/2 inch lengths will fit in here. Maybe not. I guess we're going to find out. Yeah, these are fine. These go in here. They snug up nice. They just tighten into that inner layer of plastic after they go through that assembly. Just snug all this up. The next part, I believe, is this trigger assembly. And you see we have our trigger piece sticking out here. This just kind of like slides over top of that and pinches the back of these 2 pieces to hold them together. So we've got like a trigger assembly here. And this was a custom piece, I think. Let's see. Nope, this one goes here. So this is our little hinge for the flap to encapsulate the bolt that we're going to be firing. And there's not a lot that holds this in. There doesn't really need to be. It's mostly just a hinge. So I filed this bolt down, and it just threads ever so lightly into this far side. But you see, it operates nicely, flaps open, fits in there nice. And there's actually more of this, there's some more pieces of this like tactical railing that I need to print that gets bolted on the tops of these here, but that is not quite done yet. But luckily it doesn't affect the functioning at all for this. It doesn't at all affect the functionality. Well, I guess we did these bolts here. I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. These are actually supposed to thread the whole way down here and capture a nut that's supposed to like set in this inlay here. But it's a little undersized. I don't know if Jiang had slightly different sized hardware than I have access to, but I can't quite fit the nut in there. So I think I do want to take a moment here and actually try to, we'll Dremel this out a little bit to be able to fit a nut in there. Because I think that will, you know, have a pretty substantial effect on the overall strength of this assembly. So we're just going to kind of, I mean, I don't even need to say it. We're going to kind of crudely grind out this area. And again, sorry I'm not paying attention to chat. I'll catch up here in a minute when we get most of this thrown back together. Solder a nut on the inner side face of the body. I don't know where you mean. Are you talking about the same place? Square nut. Yeah, a square nut probably would fit, but I don't have any, unfortunately. And I couldn't find any at the hardware store. All I have is the nuts that came with my little packs. So luckily I didn't fasten this piece yet. We don't need much space here, so we're just going to like elongate this a little bit in both directions. And I don't think it's going to take very much, so we'll do that here quick. I think that's all it's going to take, really. Clean this up with our knife quick. It's just like ever so slightly too small of a space. So we'll just do a test fit here. Looks like we need to go a little bit deeper. That looks like it's going to work. So we'll have our bolt coming down through, which it actually threaded into the plastic a little bit. That might have been enough to get us by. But it looks like that's going to be enough to get us by. So we'll go ahead and do the other side quick, and this will be ready to go. We've got melted PLA all gumming our bit up here. Our little grinding attachment. All right, let's do this side. Luckily, it doesn't hurt to go a little too big in here. There's tons of mass on this part. It's basically solid. So we're really not weakening anything by being a little heavy-handed in here. And like I said, on the final one, I won't grind this piece out. I'll either pull it into CAD and enlarge this for these nuts, or if I'm feeling like taking the extra time, I'll grind one of these down, which I won't. It wouldn't take a whole lot to grind this down to fit in there, and that's good. So we'll get this assembly back on here. Unfortunately, we need to take these bolts out that we just spent a moment putting in. But I think it was worth the few moments of time that took to do this the right way. Bastard. Dremel to the rescue. Yeah, you're probably right, Aspie. I probably could have taken a nut. Did the Prusa kit have spares? I probably did have one of those. Damn it. You're right, Joey. I probably did have one of those. Because I have used some of the spare Prusa parts, but I don't think I've used any of the nuts. I'm pretty certain of it. We might have to cut one of these bolts to length. We have to take a look here. I doubt it takes this whole thing. It might. No, looks like we got to take just a tiny bit off of that. A tiny bit. I tell you what, I think we're gonna relieve these in a little bit farther too, so the heads are completely out of the path of the string, so it doesn't end up wearing our string. So we'll kind of like ballpark where that's going to be once we relief it, and then I don't have a thing to mark this with. And then we'll just go ahead and cut this off with a cutoff wheel really quick. And again, when I finally get this done, because I think Naomi plans to, basically release this to everybody at some point. Or Jiang, I guess it's ultimately up to him. I actually do have a flex shaft. I actually do have one. I just tend not to use it for whatever reason. But I have it sitting right behind me, as a matter of fact. All right, so like I said, we're gonna basically ballpark where that's gonna be when it's relieved a little bit, and then I'll just mark this here with this. And now we'll cut a pair of these to that length. Let me grab a pair of pliers. Looks like I don't have a pair of like proper pliers over here. We'll just use this Leatherman. I was going to say this should be sufficient, but it's really kind of not. We'll make do. We're doers, not complainers, right? All right, that is hot as the sun. See if that looks about right. It looks about right for length. Again, considering we're going to recess it, that's the idea. So we're going to mark this one to the same length. And go ahead and chop it off here. All right, that should be good. So we'll take that first one. We'll set our nut in there. Ease that down through. Oh, that's right. Shit, we want to relief that a bit while we're doing this. I hate that you have to change these freaking things for the different size attachments. I don't know why they couldn't have just made those like a size in between and made all the shafts the same size. And again, we have like this caked on melted PLA here we got to deal with. These little rasp tools actually work quite well for dealing with PLA, though. I wish I had one that was a little bit bigger so it didn't gum up so fast. But I think I broke or lost the slightly larger one I had. But we're going to slow this down a bit. And just relieve these things in a little bit more than they already are. I gotta say too, I don't know. I don't know how some of you felt about the cork mod to the heat bed, but I've really been loving it. Man, is the heat bed temp ever stable now? It's kind of shocking. Plus, it's kind of shocking how fast it gets up to 60 degrees. It seems almost like instant now. Still takes a little bit of time to get up to like 100, but I've really been digging that. Plus, like I know I talked about redoing my PID tuning, but the current PID tuning I have seems to be like perfect for that for whatever reason. It seems kind of odd that I didn't have to modify it at all, but it seems like perfect. The temp is absolutely rock solid stable through the course of the entire prints that I've done. So, like we kind of discussed, I don't think it's something anybody has to do, but I think it's not a bad little mod to do. Oh, I guess this is going to have to thread through some of this area here. Yeah, see you, Bob. Thanks for stopping by, man. All right, so there, we're just sticking out the bottom, so we'll go ahead and get this other one in here, which I think is this one. Looks like the right one. You need to get a silicone shoe. I've actually stopped using mine. I know a lot of people, I really kind of swore by it when I first got it, but I don't know. I just don't like it anymore for whatever reason. I know it's kind of like a subjective thing, but I just prefer not using it. I always worry about it catching on something or sliding off a little bit. And it kind of freaks me out now for some reason. All right, so you see we're threading down through there. Hopefully I did leave these long enough, damn it. I think they are. Can't quite get it on there. I think I need to clean this piece up a little bit. Got some melted schmutz in here. There we go. Cleaned out. And the hand cramps ruin the moment too? What are these hand cramps you speak of? Oh, no more hand. I see what you're saying. I see what you did there. Sorry, you guys know I can't. I'm not the best multitasker. All right, so that looks good. Hopefully these do reach. It's going to be funny if we did all that and it doesn't fit right. Would not be the first time we've done something like that, though. All right, so let's do this other side first. Because if we can get this to feed into that nut, we're going to be able to draw this down pretty tight. Which I think, considering what this is, will be a good thing. So this is where, like, I need a third hand. I need a helper here. Because I need to keep a little bit of pressure on this nut. Hold the crossbow and thread this in. Well, we threaded into the nut, but this also threads into the plastic. There we go. Ah, there we go. Now we're tightening. See, now our assembly's tight. That took a little bit of work, but I think it was worth it. Because now this whole assembly is pinched really nice. And this has some cover pieces here that will kind of... we'll have to modify these a tiny little bit to make room for a nut. But this has like a little cover piece here that will like further encapsulate that nut so it's not sticking out. Well, I think it's kind of supposed to stick out because it's relieved on this piece here too. So let's get this other side in. Grab a nut, get it in here. We have to do the same kind of like acrobatics here to get this all to come together. Need our flat screwdriver in here to kind of keep the nut pressed where we want it. While we try to drive this down in there. It looks like we got it started, but it's the same deal. These bolts are actually threading into this plastic here, so it takes a little bit of extra force to sort of chew those threads up. So we can actually, there we go. So we can actually start drawing the nut down tight. But we got it. Very good. That is like a nice solid assembly. And you see, we haven't filed these yet, but these bolts actually will completely clear here. Like with a little bit of filing here. These will actually be flush with the bed of this assembly here. So that'll be perfect. That means our string will not hit these at all, so it's not going to wear our string or do anything stupid. All right, very cool. So that is a nice solid assembly now. That's why I said I'm not at all worried about putting, you know, a moderate amount of force when we string this up and finally get like the final design. Like this is a substantial little piece here. So we've got most of that done. We've got a bolt here yet that kind of pinches the rear of this whole assembly together. But we're almost done here. We'll have to string this up, which will probably be a little bit of an undertaking. But we'll do our best. But we'll get this through here. I think I still have this one here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to relieve a nut into this. That is, you don't want to have somebody take that out of context. Dude said he's gonna leave a nut. All right, hopefully that's about the right size for a nut in there. I think it is. And hopefully it'll allow us to draw this whole rear assembly together quite nicely. Probably still stick out a little bit. Is it threading in? The problem is I cut some of these. It's trying to, but the end of some of these bolts is a little rough because I cut them with bolt cutters. So I might have to force this a little bit. I think we got it. I think she's drawing down now. A few extra moments. That took a few extra moments. That's not really... It's not really relieved in there at all, but whatever. That's going to hold that together nice. Nice. That is a nice sturdy assembly. That is very cool. So that's the bulk. That's the bulk of the reassembly. We've got a little bit of work to do here on the trigger because we've got a few components. And like I said, I'm gonna get some slightly smaller hardware because we've got our trigger with our little eyelet there, and this piece goes over top of it. And I've actually just got a little bolt that I cut off both sides. It doesn't actually have a head on it. And it's a little awkward to get in here, I gotta say. All right, there we go. So that's in there. Whoops. And we just kind of secure that with a nut on the other side, because this basically needs nothing holding it. This has very little motion that it ever experiences. So just finger tight on that is sufficient. So that holds that piece thusly. And then we have our little printed rod, which this is actually part of the print. If you do this yourself, when I printed this at 100%, it did not fit at all. And you see it's like keyed. It's like a circle with basically like a keyway on it. At 100%, this did not fit at all. I had to scale it down to 90%, both of X and Y, and then left it at 100% in the Z direction. So we're going to take, and then I had to sand it a tiny little bit. When I did that, it fit pretty well. So I got these little springs at Lowe's. And you see this goes through this assembly here, back through like I guess it's like the trigger guard, and fits into that piece, which I'm assuming we're going to super glue that, because that just basically needs to be permanently affixed. And then we're going to have this spring here. This is something that the guy that made the original design couldn't quite figure out how to keep tension on this trigger assembly, but I think it's fairly easy. We're just going to trim this spring here, and then there's this final piece that we're going to super glue onto the end of this assembly. And the spring will keep forward tension on this piece, which I think will be enough to basically keep it operating properly. And I don't know if it might be beneficial to have a tiny little bit of a spring behind here, so there's a little bit of tension both ways. I think we're gonna try that, just to maybe keep it operating fluidly. But we're gonna have to trim this spring. It's gonna be a little bit sloppy. Let's get an idea of how long of a piece we want here, because this trigger is basically going to want to stay the entire way forward. Want to keep it the whole way forward almost all the time. So we've got this on there, and it looks like we've got, looks like maybe about that big, because you don't want it under too much tension or it won't really function properly. And luckily we've got a couple of these to try. I need some shears. Our little pair of mini dikes. So we actually basically just cut it in half. And these are little, if anybody needs to get any, these are 7/32 by 1 5/8. Just little springs that I picked up at Lowe's. So I think, so we cut that in half. I think we're going to cut this other piece in half again, and try putting it on the other side here. And I don't know if we really want to do that or not, honestly. And it kind of sucks because if we're going to super glue this, we're going to be kind of committing to whatever we decide. I don't know. I kind of think we don't want that in there, honestly. All we're going to want is forward pressure on this, I'm thinking. So we're going to go ahead and commit here. We're going to super glue this. I'm going to put some super glue in the hole on this piece. Oh, that had a drop ready. Damn it. Yeah, that had a big old drop of super glue that fell out immediately. Luckily, it didn't get on anything except my hands all over the place, but... Damn it, why did it do that? Alright, crisis averted. And that scared me. Okay, let's try that again. We're going to use a fair amount in there. We do want this to be basically like permanent. Luckily, these pieces are small enough that if we end up wanting to go a different direction with this, we can just essentially break these and print new ones because they're not very big. Probably take you 10 or 15 minutes to print a new set of these little pieces. But PLA and super glue, like that bonded already. That is basically like permanently bonded already. So that seems to function well. Seems to work all right. This one might be a little bit trickier because we're going to have to fight this spring tension to keep this piece on here. And I don't know, I think this spring's a little bit big. We're going to cut a couple more windings off of this. And put some super glue. Oh, I got some blue. I was using blue tack, that poster stuff, to hold this together while I was testing it. And there's a little bit of that in there, and we do not want that in there. That'll probably keep that super glue from bonding properly. And being that this is going to be under spring tension, we don't want this pulling apart at some point. That freaking blue tack, that's like all over the place in there. That like bonds to stuff so well. Even though it never really like hardens or cures or anything. It's almost like it was designed to be tacky. Almost. Alright, so home stretch. We're going to put some super glue in here. And again, we're using a moderate amount. We're going to press this forward. And then we're going to have to hold this until this super glue dries. Otherwise, that spring is just going to like pop this piece off of here. But like I said, luckily PLA and super glue bond super, super fast. I think that's good already. Look at that. That's sweet. So that is like a perfect trigger mechanism. That works like perfectly. And it's got plenty of tension on it. I think that's going to work great. So the final thing we have to do here is string this up. And I'm going to clean up some of these tools to get it out of the way. Or get them out of the way. Close this super glue before we have another near catastrophe. And you can see, let me pull this picture up. Here's how this is going to be strung. And it's going to be, I've never actually done a crossbow like this. It's not overly complicated. Basically, it's going to be tied to each of these bows. It's going to go through the body itself, over the pulley, and then cross the actual firing area. And then same way from the other direction. Tied to the arm, through the body, around the pulley, and then into the action. Which it kind of looks like we're going to have an issue with our pulleys, unfortunately. We might have to do a slight redesign there. Yeah, it looks like we might have a minor situation, but we're going to try it. For the string, We're going to be using like regular kind of like cord. This is just like cheap cord that you can get at like hardware stores. The only difference is that I don't know if you can quite see this. This is braided. Some of this twine is just twisted, and it'll kind of undo itself pretty easily. If you like mess with it too much or like rub it over things, it'll kind of like untwist. Yeah, this ends up being like a compound crossbow, which is kind of cool. I think that's pretty sweet. I think this was like an ambitious design for the guy that did it. I'm glad he did it. So we're going to try this. This first attempt at stringing this up is probably going to be a failure. And we're actually going to, I guess we're going to go ahead and use those third holes that we had that we didn't end up using for these mounts. We're going to like put our ends in through there. I don't know if this will melt. I think this is nylon. It should melt. Give us a nice tame end that's not going to frazzle. All right. So we're going to stick it through there. We're going to stick it through there, I said. Get in there. Get in there. Where's my little pliers at? All right, so we're through there. We're going to go. I didn't want to get pink. It was the only color they happened to have that was kind of like the right diameter and braided. So like you saw, it goes through there, and then actually under the frame, it goes under the kind of firing area. And then the problem I think we might have is it might rub this aluminum a little bit, which is a little disappointing. But we'll see. Because we go... Yep, it's going to rub. See, we've got sort of like the wrong angle here on our pieces. And I don't... There's not a lot we can do about that very easily, unfortunately. Probably the easiest thing to do would be to unbolt these pieces and file that out there. But I think for now we're just going to kind of go with it. We could, if we would reposition these the other way, if we'd flip these over, which we could do to actually flip them so the pulleys are facing this way. I'm just worried about these PLA pieces failing with pressure like going that way. Because this way, the actual arm is taking most of the force because this axle is being pulled back, just kind of sandwiching the PLA in there, like this way. And I'm afraid the other way that it'll end up breaking out. So, shit. That friction is not ideal there. But we're going to kind of just go with it for now. And then, after it goes around the pulley, it'll come back through the firing area. So we're just going to get this kind of mocked up. We kind of need something to tie this off behind the bow here once it goes through. I don't know what we can do. I guess we can just like tie it around there. That's not ideal. I guess if we go under, it'll line up about right. So if we tie this off here, I know this is a little tough to see. I'll bring it up closer once we get it sorted out. So we'll just kind of tie it up here for the time being. Because after we figure this out, there'll probably be a better way that we end up doing this. So that seems reasonably tight there. coming over our pulley, through the firing area. Unfortunately, going back through this pulley again where we're going to get some friction. Going to go around it on this side. And then through the frame. Through the frame, I say. And tying off on this side. And I can see now that we probably do want to pre-bow our arms a little bit. Because as it is now, like, say I just tension, like, bring these arms in and tension this a little bit. We just have a lot of friction here because you can see how this is pulling out. These arms should actually be back here. So the string sort of lines up straight. Like, we should be able to draw a straight line, essentially, from pulley. I know it's a little tough to see. From pulley through this slot to this pulley. So I'm going to try to bow these arms just a little bit. Which is probably going to be easier said than done to do it uniformly. Should really take these off so we can match them. I mean, it makes it look more like a crossbow when we do that. And I think that's actually about right as far as like positioning and stuff for the curve of these. That's not too far off. Like, they're obviously not exactly the same. We can pull them off a little later and match them a little better. But overall, like, that looks about right. And our string came off our pulleys here. Get it back on there. Get it back on there. Pull this tight. That's definitely better. And I think that, like, pre-bowing them a little bit makes these have a little bit more spring. This is actually, like, I don't think this is, like, the finished layout, but that's actually not too bad. And you can see everything appears to work. Let's see if this will actually caulk. I'll try to tie this off here, because this should more or less function as it is right now. We've still got just like some alignment, like our pulleys need to be positioned a little bit lower so they line up with this through slot on the frame. And sorry, this is a little out of focus. This is a little tough to do. Keep this all tensioned. Try to tie this up without losing too much of that tension on the whole system. There's loop number 1. That's not going to hold much of anything as far as tension. But it's a start. And then try to tie this off. That's not the best, but that's like actually, that's strung up reasonably well. And we'll see if this actually... Oh, it caulks! Look at that! That is a working crossbow, ladies and gentlemen. And the problem is, like, this mechanism, there's probably a little bit of improvement. This mechanism probably needs some kind of internal thing to return that to the original position. Because like there, it actually recocked. And now there it's open like it should be. And when it's open like it should be, and you bring this back, it functions properly and kind of clicks into place. So let's see if we can shoot one of these aluminum rods here. Look at that. We got a little freaking crossbow, guys. Woo. Sorry, let me catch up on chat here. I'm sorry I've been falling behind. Getting caught up here. We've got these 3mm aluminum rods. Let's see if it'll shoot one of these. That, if nothing else, that looks legit. That is a sweet little crossbow. It's kind of got like the Ultimate Warrior kind of thing going on here with these neon pink tassels, but what can we shoot? I don't want to shoot my webcam. Let me shoot my hand. Okay, that has essentially no force. But that's a functioning crossbow, ladies and gentlemen. It recocked that time. Excellent. And we've got our little thing to kind of keep the bolt captured in there. But that is a functioning crossbow. Well, the string's a little thin. I think it's actually, the string is moving past the bolt a little bit. Let me move the string down on the pulleys. And I think we're probably losing some force to the friction on the side here that we need to alleviate a little bit. But beyond that, like, our trigger is fantastic. Like, we kind of knew these aluminum arms aren't ideal. They don't have nearly as much spring as we'd expect out of, like, some spring steel. But overall, that's cool, man. You've removed... Well, the thing is we have to pre-bend them, Bjorn. Like, I agree. I agree. But the thing is, like, the way this is designed, we actually have to pre-bend them so that these pulleys are lined up with the path through the thing. We've got the wrong sort of routes for these pulleys, actually. Somehow that got messed up. That actually does... That has a moderate amount of tension on it, actually. So, how is this supposed to go? It's supposed to go like this. We just had the slightly wrong pathing on our string there. It went around this pulley the wrong way. Not a big deal. We fixed it. That's pretty cool, though, guys. We definitely have a list. There we go. The strings all look better that way. That's how they're supposed to be. They cross in the frame here like they should. And then, like, everything's straight like it should be. The only thing is, like I said, this string is a tiny bit thin. And it can actually slip past the bolt that's in here a tiny little bit. But overall, this functions surprisingly well, honestly. Considering some of the... Oh, that mechanism is so satisfying when it clicks. But with the exception of some of the concessions we had to make along the way, this works really great. And we kind of have a list already of what we need to do. Obviously, we need slightly better and springier arms here. This aluminum isn't really ideal. We need to slightly modify this pulley mechanism. Basically, we need to have... I mean, we kind of predicted it a little bit. I was worried that we weren't going to have enough clearance here, and we don't on the inside of these pulleys. And the string kind of rubs the aluminum there. So we need to design our piece to have a little bit more inlay. Like these little... Sorry, failing at the camera here. These arms need to be a little bit longer, so have a little bit more clearance around the pulleys. And like I said, I think these little pieces would be better if instead of having the axle in front of the arm, we actually designed this piece to go over the arm and have the axle like directly centered. I think that would alleviate some of the clearance issues just simply by having the pulley like not be so far forward in the arm. But no, overall, I think this is like super cool. I was kind of like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this print the other day, and I started messing with it, and I'm really glad I did. Let's see if that has any more strength since we fixed the string. Oh, yes. Wow, that, yeah, the string binding like it was. Oh, that firing mechanism is so satisfying when it clicks into place. Yeah, this actually has a moderate amount of force behind it now. I don't know how far it'll I don't know how far it'll shoot, but see, that's the problem. The string is slipping past that bolt a little bit. Now, see, there the mechanism kind of failed again, and went back to the closed position. So I think if we could get a spring internally there somewhere, or some kind of like, that's so sweet. Maybe like a little spiral spring, like some clocks have in it, and kind of get it on that one piece of that gear to keep it pressured forward, instead of allowing it to flop back and lock again. I think that would fix some of the problem. I think if I hold down on the top here to keep that chamber shut. Yeah, that actually is... Because this thing weighs a couple grams, this aluminum rod. I mean, it's not super heavy, but... See, there it kind of cocked shut again. That's not the end of the world, but... just one of a couple little things that sort of needs addressed. And I think, like I said, you have to rely on Google Translator if you pull up the forum post that Jiang has about this, because it's in Chinese. But I think the firing mechanism is one of the things that he himself had commented on that he's not really like happy with at this point. But I think overall, this is a super cool design. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that wouldn't mind printing this out, because... like you saw, there's not too many printed pieces to it, really. It only took me, like, in total, probably 8 hours, I'd say. And I probably have another hour print to do the tactical rail for the top here. And I don't think that's going to, like, change the functionality at all. It would also be nice to have something that restrained this, because it has, like, this flappy door that actually, like, encapsulates the bolt and traps the string here and the firing channel so it can't get out. And I think when it's like not firing well, it's because this is like opening up a little bit and it's allowing the string to get past this, you know, whatever you happen to have in here. Which, if anybody makes one of these, it looks like these this 3.2 millimeter aluminum rod is like perfect for like the bolts for this. But no, I'll have to do... I'm probably going to make more than one of these. I would imagine I'll do another one this size once I work out some kinks and some of the pieces and stuff. And I had problem printing some of these pieces, like these cover pieces. I couldn't get those sharp corners to fill in. I had a couple issues like these sharp corners here I couldn't get to fill in for whatever reason. So I need to sort some of that stuff out. Print it in slightly cooler colors, get some actual spring steel for the arms instead of aluminum. Though I think, was it Aspie? I think Aspie was the one that said, probably get some of those like spring steel mechanical rulers. Kind of like this one. This one's kind of like a pressed. You can tell this one isn't cut. This is almost like I don't know, like a grainy aluminum sort of composition. Not the best. I think this just bends. This one just wants to bend. But get a couple of those spring steel rulers, layer them together, get the cork off of them. they might actually be a really reasonable source of material for the arms for this thing. But I think once I get one of these printed out at this scale that I like, I'll probably print one that's about 50% bigger and design it to shoot Bic pens. I've just, ever since we did the little crossbows, these little ones that are hanging here, because this one's scaled properly to shoot a Bic pen. I don't have a Bic on hand. This one's scaled properly. Yeah, I don't have one here. But can I get it to shoot one of these aluminum rods? This probably shoots one of these aluminum rods almost as hard as this one does at this point. But I want something that's going to put a Bic pen through your face. That's going to be the test. If you can bury a Bic pen in someone's face, that's how I'll know I've reached the level of success I want with a crossbow. But I think one of these at about 50% bigger would make a lot of the mechanics easier to deal with. Like, it'd be a lot easier to just kind of like grind some of these components out of aluminum or something in the firing pins and give you some room to put a spring or something in there to torsion it so it doesn't kind of flop shut between firings. I don't know what you could really do. Like I said, it would be nice if there was something here that kept this shut. I don't know if you'd maybe embed like a magnet in the side of this, like put a magnet in each side here and then bury magnets in the sides of this thing here, if that would be enough to just keep it closed, because it doesn't need much pressure on it. Just enough that the string doesn't have enough force to blow past the projectile. But it would also help if I thickened the string here where it's going back into the firing mechanism. You could maybe like wind some string around it or something, like people do with bowstrings, and wax it up. But overall, no, I think this was a success. Honestly, a very cool little project. But like I said, I don't think currently the files aren't freely available. I think Naomi wants to show Jiang like the power of the community and releasing things to like the US community, because a lot of guys like myself or other people that have YouTube channels, we just kind of take this stuff and run with it, and it gives it a lot of exposure. So I think that would be good for him. I think it's good for everyone, for like the US maker community or the maker communities in any countries, to support the maker communities in other countries, for people that are abroad. Especially in China, like the guys in China, like I kind of feel slightly bad for them, because they are sort of isolated. It's just like Naomi. I don't know if many of you follow her and her situation. Restrictions that they have to deal with as far as like interacting with the outside world, and like doing streaming and interviews from companies and stuff. It's not like we take for granted a lot of the freedoms and stuff we have in the West in general. And I think anytime you have an opportunity to show some of those guys a little bit of love, because they're kind of doing something that's not necessarily the norm in places like China, I think it's worth a little bit of your time. You use ballistas for deer camp. Look at the strings for recurve and stuff. They're twisted and uprated. Yeah, you probably could. Like, I'll probably do that for the final design, is I'll get some legitimate strings that are made to take some pressure. I just had some twisted bowstrings are probably better than this twisted material here, because the little bit I had started fraying like immediately, and it was a little bit of a pain. Try to print them with carbon fiber. I have some polycarbonate and a couple other materials that I think I was considering trying to get them printed out of that, or print them out of that, because I think some of that stuff you could actually just print them flat and tension them back to right about where they should be, and you could probably get a moderate amount of force out of some of them. But this already has like a surprising amount of force. Yeah, I think this could be pushed a lot more if you'd get the right materials. Because as far as like stressing this frame, We've got a second set of mounting bolts up here for the arms that we could use that we're not using yet. This main frame is a huge chunk. I actually printed like the centerpiece at 100% infill, so this is a huge solid chunk of PLA. So I think we could stress this quite a bit more before we'd get into any problems. I see these are arched up a little bit, but no, there's a list of things that need improved. Need better pulleys. It'd be nice to have the pulleys on ball bearings. Things like that. Reducing any friction we can is going to make the actual firing strength of this more than it currently is. Because even tiny little bits of friction on the string is going to kind of sap some strength out of this. But overall, even as it is now, even I kind of love this little thing. I just want to sit and play with it. Just little kinks. Man, if you could get the firing mechanism worked out, because that's like so satisfying to have that click into place like that. I love it. And these little rods are like perfect projectiles. Oh. The string got caught. But plus a bowstring or like an actual archery string or something would be a little bit thicker. So I think it would be a little bit more appropriate than this twine. I was afraid to get something that was too thick, so I didn't want it to be like binding. But in hindsight, I wish it was a little bit thicker. All right, maybe this time. Get it up here. Damn it! Anyway. Yeah, a real medieval crossbow. This summer, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. He's a YouTuber I used to watch a lot. This summer, I'm going to make the whole family PVC bows. You take, what are they? Not carbon fiber. Fiberglass rods. Like, you can buy fiberglass rods at, like, Lowe's. And basically bind them up into little packs and put them inside of PVC. And he got, like, 60 and 75-pound longbows out of PVC. And you just like heat it and shape it a little bit, make actually like a really nice finished bow. And we're gonna make some of those this summer. I'm gonna make my 3-year-old one. I'll make her a little like 5 or 10 pound bow for her to mess around with, and we're gonna start doing archery in the summer. But that'll be fun. Who doesn't like an arbalest? Now I have to check that out, Earl. I'm totally into that stuff. I built my first. I built like a 7-foot trebuchet when I was like 9. So I've always been into that stuff. Earl, have you ever checked out the Slingshot channel? You might dig that if you're into that stuff. You're never too young, man. We're a bunch of hill people. I think I went rifle hunting the first time when I was like 6. We start young out here. We have tough kids in my family. I wasn't kidding about using them at deer camp. Dude, if you kill a deer with a ballista, like, I need like a 3rd thumb for how many thumbs up you deserve. Because that's pretty badass if you hit a deer with a ballista. But no, unless anybody has any questions, I think this was pretty much a successful day. I actually was a little afraid, you know, when I was thinking about doing this today. I wasn't sure if we'd actually be able to get this thing working. So I'm pretty pumped that we actually did get it to function. Can I get one past the camera here? Hey, there we go. That went, I don't know, that went 15 feet. And like I said, I think we could, because you see, we're barely stressing this at all. I don't know how many pounds of pull that is. That's probably only, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 pounds. But I think even with just the stuff that we have here, I think we could easily get this up to 10 or 15 pounds just with the materials we have. Because I think we're getting so little flex out of the aluminum that we could actually stress it a little bit more without it, being in a situation where it's going to fail. I think if anything fails, it's going to be these PLA end pieces and stuff. They're already starting to move around a little bit. Yeah, these bolts, they already loosened up a little bit. That's how you lose an eye there, folks. Better snug these up. But no, very, very cool. I'm glad I did this today. I was going to do something else today, was the initial plan. But then I started messing with this yesterday, and I was like, man, there's got to be some other guys that'll think this is cool. Plus, I wanted to get it working so I could play with it. I was kind of nervous because I took the whole frame assembly to Lowe's without the arms on it, and it kind of has like a pistol-like vibe to it. And I was kind of afraid to be walking around the store with it in the hardware aisle, but I got like a couple funny looks, but the cops weren't called, so there we go. That went almost 20 feet. Because my wall's about 20 feet away, and that hit like 4 inches from the bottom of the wall. Yeah, it's the same here. These are admittedly not ideal. Yeah, these are admittedly not ideal. They function. See, there's just a tiny bit of rotation on them, so there's no friction. But like I said, we do have some friction on the inside there. You can see the string is rubbing the aluminum. And I think just that. Well, plus we could make, if we're going to be printing out our own wheels, we could make these actual compound wheels where they're the pivot point is offset, so that when we get this caulked, it kind of relieves some of the tension. I kind of worry about that firing mechanism wearing. I don't know how many shots you could get out of that before it kind of takes a crap. Being that PLA is going to be rubbing in there at not a lot of tension on it, but a little bit. Especially the actual little firing wheel, the actual little catch that's holding the string. So it probably wouldn't hurt to print some of that out. I think I have a little bit of carbon fiber. But at the very least, I do have something that's not PLA that we could probably print that out of that would hold up a little better. But what is that, 3 hours? What time is it? About 1 o'clock? The first one through Van Door's easy, 36-inch bolts. Yeah, check out the Slingshot channel. It's Jörg Sprav. He's in Germany. He's one of my favorite channels. Like when I just want to like chill out and watch something random that's entertaining. He made almost all of his stuff is rubber powered. He uses big bands of I forget what it's called, TheraBand Gold or whatever. But they made one, man, the projectile for that was probably about 5 feet long with a big like Zulu style broadhead spear tip on it that was probably about 10 inches long. He made that was kind of terrifying. They did the Dragon Slayer that was just like a bodkin kind of tip, but it was a steel rod that was probably 5 feet long, and they were putting that through car doors. Oh, you're already subbed? I'm not surprised. But no, I love watching his stuff. I love stuff that like is terrifying. I love stuff that you can just imagine like standing beside it while it's being used and feeling like you probably don't want to be standing quite where you are. That stuff's always sweet. Don't kill yourself. Dinner time, thumbs up. Yeah, see you, man. See you, Gusner. And everybody don't forget there's the community stream is tomorrow. I'll be hosting. Surgical tubing is sexy. Yeah, I was thinking like you could turn this into a rubber powered one if you don't want to mess with like the flexible arms, like if you don't want to get steel or Seeing this now, I think even if somebody wanted to do this as a project, you could get by with the aluminum. I think you'd still have a lot of fun with this. But don't forget the community stream is this week. What's every week, as long as everybody stays on board. I'll be hosting, so it won't be hard to find for most of you guys this week. Just show up here where we would normally watch the live streams. It'll be 10 p.m. tomorrow night. And I don't know who all is coming. I don't know who all is coming. I actually met a couple new guys that I tried to, like, entice to come. So there might be a couple new YouTubers that I just found within the last 24 hours. So it'll be interesting to meet some of the people. I think it's going to be cool if we do that, if we continue to try to branch out and not just have this, like, little inner circle of people who, you know, we all kind of already like. It'd be cool to meet new people. Because I've already met, just in that last one, I met, like, 5 people that I didn't know I've never seen on YouTube before, so that was cool. But, yeah, that'll be here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. I know, Marcus, that's what sucks. Because, like, Angus is totally down to come and hang out with everybody, but the time in Australia, I think it's about, I don't know what 10 Eastern Standard is for him, but it's pretty, I was going to say late. It's actually early. I think it's, like, early in the morning. But, yeah, Aspie, at the very least, I assume Aspie will be there. I would assume, like, Matthew and a couple other people will be there at the very least. Hopefully, like, Vicky makes it. Maybe, what's her name? Sparky Face. Maybe Sparky will make it. It's hard to tell. Dustin might be there. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Because it's going to be, I guess it's going to be different every week who ends up having, like, the time available. But it should be fun. I'll be there with my crossbow. Hopefully convincing some other people to print it. Oh, that's right. The files aren't readily available yet. But like I said, if anybody wants the files to this, I do not yet have the green light to share them. But it's worth saying something to Naomi on Twitter. She might be willing to share them. Hopefully she shares this video with Jiang. I don't know. It might be tough if he doesn't speak English. This is probably tough for somebody to watch if they do speak English, to sit through 3 hours of me effing with a little toy crossbow. It's going to be even more painful if you don't speak English. But, no, anyway, I'm lingering. As always, like, thanks everybody for hanging out with me. It was fun as usual. I don't have any more things to shoot. So we'll do what you're supposed to never do and dry fire our bow. I'll be doing, this will be an ongoing project. Whenever I get free time, I'm going to try to work on this, work out some kinks. I'm going to keep track of all the files I make, like for these tips and the modified trigger. I'm probably going to try to modify the firing mechanism to get it to work a little more consistently, because it seems to work. Did it work again or not? I don't think it did. There, it didn't work that time. It seems to just want to go back in the closed position. But I'm going to try to modify that firing mechanism to get it a little more consistent. I think as far as the trigger and stuff, just the spring makes it work fantastically. I don't think any of that needs modified. We need to fit a spring in here. I think a spring would alleviate all these problems. Just have some, like, forward rotation force on that little piece in there. Probably beef this little piece up a bit. It's a little bit small. So we'll probably redesign that. Because I think, like I said, I think he machined his out of aluminum. But we're going to try to keep as many parts on this printed as possible. Like, ideally, it'd be nice to have everything except maybe the axles in these pulleys might be asking a little bit to keep those printed. That might be asking a little bit. But if we could have the pulleys printed, basically everything but the arms. And then if there's enough interest, I might actually be able to, like, if I do end up going to a machine shop, I might try to buy a bunch of these and get the price down on them and offer them to people if they want to print this out themselves. Because it would be cool. This is going to be a lot better with some nice spring steel arms that are machined nice. So if I can buy a bunch of those and get the cost down to, you know, a few bucks a piece for some arms, I might do that if there's enough interest. It would be cool to make this repeating. That would be sweet. Post the Twitter link to her. Yeah, I already got Naomi's permission to do this, so she kind of already knows this is going down today. She said she wanted to watch the stream, but again, like in China, they have apparently she has really, really bad internet. Because I've tried to get her to stream because I think there's a lot of people that would enjoy watching her. But she apparently has like really bad internet service. So even when she uploads her videos and stuff, apparently it takes a long time. But no, hit her up if you want files. She might hand them over. Might not, but it's worth a try. But like I said, I'll keep everything I do set aside, and if the point comes where this is available, I'll probably have a little subset of files that have been modified slightly, if anybody's interested. So yeah, so that'll be happening. I might not talk about it much, but know that it is kind of like happening in the background. If you're interested, just wait, be patient, and the day will probably come when everything's available. But yeah, thanks everybody. I'll quit lingerer. Thanks for coming along on the crossbow journey with me. There will be a video Friday, finally. So the next part of the 3D Dungeoneering series will be coming out Friday. There'll probably be a video Saturday, and then of course like the stream tomorrow night and next Tuesday will be the normal deal. So hopefully I'll see all of you then, or some way somewhere along the road. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.